Good evening, my name is Odie Hawkins, and we're here once again after having missed last Monday because of circumstances beyond our control. Weren't the Olympics something else? Anyway, we decided to make up for it and come back to this time frame, and here we are. Zola Salena is right now behind the camera, but I think she's going to take a little step and walk right around.
You step around.
Yes.
I'll go right this way. Okay.
Oh, wow, I couldn't see that dress in the dark there.
You like the dress?
Yeah, what is that from?
Mama.
It's Moroccan, isn't it?
Moroccan, yes. My mother's.
You know, you see West African clothes so much that you don't see them from other places. Once again,
You're quite fine. I enjoyed it.
I guess I look a little shabby tonight.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Actually, something. Libation. Take time to get yourself a libation.
Ginger beer for me.
I think I'll have you too.
For those who've been following this, you know what we're doing is taking one of my 38 books, 42 books, taking each book one at a time and having a little playful discussion about what's in it, what's it about, and make an appeal to those who may not be familiar with my work to get yourself a copy of one of them. It could be any of these that have already been mentioned previously. There's Ghetto Sketches.
Got a little pineapple.
Oh,
Myself.
good for you. Ghetto Sketches. Lady Bliss. Mr. Barnacle Bliss. Shackles Across Time. The Black Matadors. Sugar. The Great Lord Buddha. You may not be familiar with the titles, but the genres are just transnational. For example, thank you so much.
Yes.
The idea, I think, for most writers is that you start off with some sort of theme, some sort of idea that you want to put out there. You can say.
Yes, as with what I like about your characters are that they're so real. And the fact that on this particular book, okay, Portrait of Simone, I posed for the cover of this as a silhouette. And our friend...
There, the secret is out.
Yes.
Zola really is Simone.
And let's see here, I do believe...
Nima, that's far.
Was it Nima that did this? Oh yeah, Nima did the front
Yeah.
cover. Yeah, front cover photo by Nima Raspar. It is www.nimaraspar.com. Photographer.
That's it. Okay, the book is, I call it my Southern book. I call it my Southern book. As the descendant of people who immigrated from the South to Chicago, I always think of myself as a first generation Chicagoan.
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't even get that far because once you get surrounded by your people, you just become Mississippi. No, Mississippi, Chicago, Mississippi.
Yes.
So what am I thinking about?
Well, first off, your parents came from?
My mother came from a little town called Helena, Arkansas, not too far from Little Rock, Arkansas. And they still have, she has passed, and my father has too. His people were from Yazoo City, Mississippi.
There you go.
So it wasn't like they were from Hot Springs, Arkansas, or Little Rock, Arkansas, which is a big town. They were from the little places, you know, places like, well.
And I gather her people came up north, and who did she meet? But
They,
your father.
Well, they had to. I think it was destined.
Carmen.
It was something that they had to do, so they did it.
Yeah.
I've mentioned them in passing. As a matter of fact, I'm on to a story right now that talks about them a little bit more extensively than I can talk about it right now.
All right.
Right now, trying to make an effort to interest a would-be reader into reading
Portrait of Simone.
Portrait of Simone.
Yes. And look it up here. Portrait of Simone. Isn't that cool?
Okay, it's of course I can't give you the whole story, but basically here's what it's based on.
Mm-hmm.
It was 1990. It was 1962. I was doing my own thing. I was holding up my own corner in Chicago, me and a couple of other people. We had it going on. We had everything we needed. We went to the high spots and the low spots. We stayed up all night. We called ourselves the shepherds of the night because we didn't go to sleep. Yeah, we didn't go to sleep unless you just had to. For me at the time, I had been exposed to the effervescent qualities of something called Dexedrine by a lady at the post office where I was working. Told me it would help me out because it seemed like I was
falling asleep on the job.
Falling asleep on the job. I wasn't the only one. There were others.
Yes, okay.
But she gave me a few of these Dexedrines, beautiful little things, with a little slice down the middle. And I started taking them, which gave me even more energy than I normally had, which was quite a bit as it was, because I used to run from place to place.
Okay, so now you needed no sleep at all.
I needed no sleep at all.
Oh, okay.
Prior to that, I was getting a little sleep, but now. Anyway, I was 24 years old, and suddenly I started getting these service appeals, these little note saying.
Service appeals.
Right.
I'm sure they've been called many things, but I don't think very often service appeals.
Right. The way they would put it. This is the build up to the Vietnam War. Incidentally, let's make that plain. 62. Finally, they just came and said, "Okay, put your toothbrush and your underwear in that bag and come on, let's go." Well, wait a minute, I'm too old. So, no, not yet. Somebody had told somebody that he was not in love with the Army.
Okay.
Because once they found that out, they made sure I hated them even more all the time.
Got the experience.
I got the experience. Okay, but into everything, there's a book. There's a little book. They sent me to Georgia, to Fort Gordon, Georgia, and I've talked about this sort of thing extensively in other books or bits and pieces. The character's name in this particular story is Leon. It's not Chester.
My goodness.
I've changed it.
Okay,
At least.
You threw Chester out and put in Leon.
Well, I just sidelined him for a little bit because everybody was saying, every book you write has a character named Chester L. Simmons. Who is Chester? Okay, Leon meets two middle-aged women. He's 24 years old. He meets two middle-aged women, and they begin to have a very strange relationship because both of these women have children and everything else, but they're totally innocent. Life is just passed.
So they weren't cougars, they were just middle-aged?
Innocents.
Okay.
No, they weren't. They were not cougars. I asked them, were they trying to support you? And no, and I wasn't trying to game them. It's just that we liked each other's company. The interesting thing is that I don't want to mention the occupation they had, but one was in the medical field and the other was in the library field. And of course, being upstanding citizens of the town, they knew each other.
Of course.
And what they did with this young man, this Leon, was learn a lot from him, but they learned a lot. He learned a lot from them. For example, he had never been around people who had honor and morality and
Yes, coming from the poor, P-O, not P-O-R section of Chicago.
Yeah.
Poor is little, much poorer than poor.
I would like to link it that poor, P-O-O-R, is middle class poor. Poor is, you haven't made it to a class yet.
Right.
They don't know what caste you're in.
Yes.
So he's coming from that, and you know, he doesn't know anything about being decent and honest. You know, he could say to one of these girlfriends, "Look, loan me $500,"
Mm-hmm.
and she would say, "Well, we'll have to go to the bank, and I'll, you know, because now that I've got your trust and your belief in me, I can treat you like you're a child. I can take you to the bank and wait outside for you to get your money, and not even ask me, well, when are you going to pay me back?"
Right.
Because she assumes that you would be paying her back.
Right.
But coming from where he comes from, the idea is to get somebody's money and disappear.
Right. Okay.
So he's not. I'm saying I'm not talking about a sterling white guy who's had the best will and the best. He's a rotten dog.
Gotcha.
He's a rotten dog. But as things begin to happen down south, he begins to see how it is that his people have managed to live through what they lived through down there on the Delta and down there in Arkansas, and come through it and better for it. I'm in a section right now about the book I'm writing about my father, who said something to me one day about how it is that the enslavers, the white people, had made us smart. He's the way he put it, we were already smart. We were already smart. But what they did was real dumb. They picked on the best, the strongest, the smartest, and they brought us over here. And once we got over here and learned some of this lingo and how to cook their food for them and stuff, we began to change them inside out.
Okay.
You know, I mean, how many of them grew up on our music thinking it's their music? How many of them had conversations with people who were trying to tell them, here's how to be a human being, son. You don't have to go out there and be a lynch mob member or a KKK boy. Anyway, the point that my daddy was making to me is that by importing us, they made a bad mistake, which we've shown to be because we are the mistake. But in addition to everything else, it made us smarter.
Okay.
Nobody on this planet knows the North American European the way we do in this country. If you doubt it, just look at the way we go about our daily lives, coping with, even today, this kind of thing. I'd like to start this out with a little foreword from Portrait of Simone.
Okay.
Just a teeny bit.
Yes, a little tease. Tease you.
T-19.
Tease, yeah, tease you.
Prologue. The southern section of the United States has a peculiar history, a peculiar way of looking at things.
Gotcha.
The South is our tropical zone, the place where armpits carry half moons, and the way people speak reflects a social status that may be missing in the rest of the country. In the South, the recent past may be yesterday or 100 years ago. People seem to relate to older feelings there than in the rest of the country, or so some people think. Art, mystery, food, craziness, murky water, dark nights, the smell of skunks, dog howls, and deeper love swell up down there and keep the emotional belly fuller than anywhere else in the country.
Wow.
We don't want to get into catfish and cornbread. That would be almost like explaining the whole thing. You meet people in the South that you would never meet in any other part of the country or the world. On the back roads in Georgia, trees hang over like old men shedding dry tears, and when it rains, the earth bleeds, sheds rivulets of blood. Some of those trees have held the bodies of African men and women, their necks brutally cradled in heavy coils of lynch rope.
Yes.
During the heyday of American-style apartheid, the South was the Africans held in full view, filled with emotions so raw that they have never healed, will never heal. The South smells different. It's filled with flowers that refuse to have color or odor after they've been taken from the native soil. The South was once the aggravated land of African women. There's a story of a beautiful African woman who was raped at least once a week from 12 years old to 24 years old, all of her adult life. She stopped the rapes by biting the dick off of the last racist. The white men of her town, outraged by her rebellion, tied her to a tree and used her for target practice. They say she died with a smile on her face.
Mm-hmm.
The South has always carried this bitter sweetness for African Americans. Alone, without Eurocentric prodding or interference, we have sometimes turned the South into a gorgeous place, bursting with an African love system that embraced every black face in sight. The South is where the United States sent Leon to serve his country.
Oh my.
The government had no intention of introducing Leon to Simone, but it happened anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The government had no intention of introducing her to Montuna.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's in here too, Montuna.
Okay.
But it happened anyway.
Mm.
The people who lived in the area had no idea one sad day their land would be taken over, twisted into a mad caricature of human activity, slavery legalized. Yes, the southern section of the United States has a peculiar history, a peculiar way of looking at things.
Yes.
This is our tropical zone, and it gives birth to emotions that will not bloom anywhere else. Go check it out.
The South.
That's the prologue, and
Mm.
I'll let it go right there, because then we wind up with Leon and his friend arriving at the Augusta bus station,
Mm-hmm.
having just come in from
Up north.
up north.
Ooh.
And as you can see, the manure begins to stink immensely as soon as possible.
Well, tell me, I mean, wouldn't these women of the South be like a little on guard from a young man from the North?
I think, yeah, but at the same time, they had no real defense for what he was saying that sounds so truthful, because, you know, people understand people telling lies. They do it all the time, everywhere.
Mm.
But if you could make your lies sound absolutely truthful,
Mm.
it's really to defend against that.
And he wasn't worried that dealing with two women in the same town
Yeah.
would be a problem?
Well, no. Funny thing that I don't know if this is stereotyping or not, but I have run into at least 5 or 6 brothers in Augusta, Georgia, for example, and a couple of them in Atlanta, who always had 3 or 4 girlfriends.
Hmm.
I mean, one of them was married and had 2 girlfriends. But the others just simply, I don't know if that area is more promiscuous or if it has a history of people having like transit romantic relationships. If you have a place where they have a Mardi Gras, for example, we don't know what it's like now, but it used to be, according to some really reliable accounts. I'm going to Mardi Gras, and you know, I'm gonna do everything I can't do in the Catholic Church here in Chicago or New York, whatever it is. What is it for the period before Lent?
Okay.
You just do anything. You can party all night.
Okay, so you can go into confession and get it all erased.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, what is it? You go and say 50 Hail Marys and 35, you know, all the rest of it.
Yeah. Now, just tell me,
Yes.
if I wanted,
Yes.
why would I be interested in Portrait of Simone?
Oh, a splendid question.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Tell me.
Okay. Well, I wrote it for you. I'm just kidding. I'm pulling a leg. I didn't write it for her, but I got you on that one.
Right.
No, on a serious level, I think it takes a look at some undercurrents that happen between people from different sections of the country. In this case, they're black people.
Mm-hmm.
I started thinking about the guy as a white guy from Tennessee who went down to Georgia to meet some couple of white girls from Georgia.
Okay.
And if he was from Memphis or one near Nashville, a big sophisticated country and western guy,
Right.
you know, he had them dropping meth and smoking weed and doing everything. And, you know, people, when I say innocent, I'm not talking about, they're not dumb, they're not unintelligent, they're just simply unaware. They've never been, like I said, never been put on guard about people coming to you and talking to you with the absolute bitter truth in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And does not mean anything.
Well, yes. I have often said to young ladies that when they say, well, he said he loved me. And I tell them, for that exact moment, he probably did. But after that moment, love left.
I abstain. But that just happened. Somebody asked me something about that, the same thing. What are you writing about? I'm trying to look at as many facets of the human condition as I can possibly look at.
And so Simone was nearly twice his age for children.
Yeah. Yeah. And they were quite taken with him. They thought he was, they didn't get to know him the way she did. I'm sure she later on became completely disillusioned in him. But before that happened, they had a very interesting time.
This paragraph here. This paragraph here.
I knew Leon loved me and I loved him, but we couldn't put a title on it in a manner of speaking. I had children already, a lifestyle that I was comfortable with, but aside from all that, there was something to do with a kind of insecurity on both sides. I don't know. When he called to tell me that he was going to Mexico for a while to write, I was torn between being happy and depressed. One side of me wanted to rejoice, and the other side wanted to ask, why not come to Georgia to write? But I didn't want him to feel that he should be obligated to me in any way. We both found ourselves going through changes all the time. I could sense it. He wrote me long, beautiful letters from Mexico. I kept them. I still have them. Needless to say, I was shocked when he wrote to tell me I'm choking up. I was shocked when he wrote to tell me he was getting married a few months after he returned from Mexico. Voila, I was terribly hurt. But in some crazy way, a rational part of me felt that way. We had never become platonic friends, nor had we ever discussed the possibility, and we never did. I felt just as neutral about his divorce when he wrote me about it. And I was relieved. Strangely, I never even thought about remarrying, not even out of spite. In a way, I felt married to Leon. Isn't that weird? When he sent me an autographed copy of the book, I felt tempted to go down to Wong's restaurant and have one of those martinis that Leon liked so much. I shared his triumphs and his failures as though we were together, and yet we weren't. He opened a few psychic doors for me, in a manner of speaking. Before he came along, I would never have considered taking a trip anywhere. When Shirley, my youngest, got married, I hopped on a plane to Juneau, Alaska, like it was a bus trip to Atlanta. I give Leon credit for that. He was achieving a modern success as a writer during this period, and constantly expressing his frustration with life. I sensed that the frustration had to do with his ambivalence concerning our relationship, and I tried as often as I could to let him off the hook. After 2 years of this kind of thing, I had a strong suspicion we were never going to get together. When he wrote to tell me he was going to live in Spain for a while, my suspicions were confirmed. One day, I suddenly realized we hadn't exchanged a letter in over 3 months, and I hadn't heard his voice in over 6 months. A cold feeling came over me. I felt that I knew exactly what he was doing. He was freeing me from the idea of us being together. He was releasing himself from the possible title of hypocrite. In some ways, despite the fact it's been 5 years since we've communicated, I feel closer to Leon than ever before. Like he used to say, if our relationship had never existed, we would have had to make some kind of wonder drug to hallucinate it into being.
Wow.
The only thing I could add to that is that I feel better about my life for having had one Leon in it than no Leon at all.
Better to have loved and lost than never loved.
There you go.
Okay.
So inside the book, as a final thing, this is a book inside a book. Leon is writing the book that occurs here, which is called One Love.
When he was in Spain.
In Spain.
Right, Mexico and Spain. Okay.
Yes.
This is good.
So that's it for today. I'm telling you.
My goodness, thank you very much. I do love stories, you know.
Oh.
Sentimentalists at heart.
Oh.
Yes, indeed. You know, and the thought of, you know, what is it? Her when she was married, did her husband die?
Husband got killed in a car accident.
Okay.
And just before he got there, before Leon arrived. And that opened the door for her, for them, because otherwise, if he had been alive, she would not have been running around with him.
Right.
That would not have been,
right.
No.
So
No, won't do that.
Okay, so she was suffering the loss of her husband, and he came and filled that niche, kind of. Yeah. Oh.
We talking about the same thing?
Whatever. I did not go there. Okay.
Yeah, I can see him feeling like that.
And with that kindness, this is Portrait of Simone, which can be purchased on, I believe, Amazon, but what you can do is put in a Google search, or whatever your search engine is, and get Portrait of Simone. Right now it is being published by Open Road. Open Road, but you can go to Open Road, which is in New York, and get it. Or, like I say, put in a Google search and you'll be able to purchase this book, Portrait of Simone. And for you feminists, or for those who like romantic tales, it's a perfect book to curl up with.
Don't cry.
You may cry, but it's okay. It's happy tears. And with that, his website is www.odiehawkins.com. And thank you for joining us on another Monday. But then you can pull this up any day on YouTube, since it isn't YouTube Live, but we're live and happy for you to be part of our
thing.
Our thing. All right.
See you next time. See you next Monday.
One last.